everybody, and welcome back to another video. My name is Dr. Lighton94, and today we are going to be looking at the new, what I'm basically calling the Starfleet Ships of the Line Museum, just released today on Tuesday, September the 8th, which, by the way, happy Star Trek Day, everybody. Of course, this will be coming out a day late, so in that case, happy belated Star Trek Day to everybody. So, as I said, we're going to be looking at the ships of the line. I'm not sure. I don't think, no, there's not any specific window or anything, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and beam up from ESD here. And there's going to be a nice little surprise waiting for those of you who don't know about it. Thank you, Mr. President. So as I was saying, it is September the 8th, which is Star Trek Day. September the 8th, 1966, for those of you who may not know, was the day Star Trek was first released. So, every year, apparently, we're going to get this exhibit. So, as you can see, I'm pointed towards ESD in the sun. And there's nothing really special going on, so I'm going to go ahead and spin around. And right over here, look at that. It's the original series Enterprise. So, let's go view the Uss Enterprise Ncc 1701. The most celebrated starship of her time, the Constitution-class Enterprise had over 40 years of service to Starfleet. Most of that time, including her celebrated 5-year mission from 2265 to 2270, was under the command of James T. Kirk. Besides her initial mission goals of seeking out new life and new civilizations, the Enterprise assisted many in need throughout the galaxy and defended the Federation from threats such as Khan Noonien Singh. In her final flight, she was commandeered from Starfleet by her most famous captain and crew before being destroyed over the Genesis planet. Notable crew members include James T. Kirk, Spock, Leonard McCoy, Montgomery Scott, Hikaru Sulu, Nyota Uhura, and Pavel Chekhov. Star Trek aired from September the 8th, 1966 to June the 3rd, 1969 with a run of 79 episodes. Without the original series, none of us would be here today. The iconic show aired for just 3 seasons in the late 1960s, having been saved from cancellation several times by fan campaigns. However, when the show moved to syndication, its popularity exploded, leading to 6 feature films with the original cast. The show has inspired people from all walks of life, including scientists who cite Star Trek as the inspiration for inventions like the cell phone and transmission. So as you can see, we're just going to go around and visit all the different ships. So next, they're going in order of release chronology, which is fine by me. So let's view the Enterprise D. The fourth ship to bear both the Enterprise name and her iconic 1701 registry excuse me, the Enterprise D is an iconic piece of Federation history. Led by the principles of Captain Jean-Luc Picard, this legendary vessel ventured into a galaxy much changed since the original Ncc 1701 had gone on her 5-year mission. During her time among the stars, the Enterprise D was present to a part of many major historical events, including the first encounters with both the Q Continuum and the Borg. Without the dedication of her brave crew, many more lives would likely have been lost in these incidents. Notable crew members include Jean-Luc Picard, William Riker, Beverly Crusher, Worf, Data, Geordi LaForge, Deanna Troi, Wesley Crusher, Catherine Pulaski, and Tasha Yar. Star Trek The Next Generation aired from September the 28th, 1987 to May the 23rd, 1994 with a total of 176 episodes. If the original series is the point from which all Star Trek originates, The Next Generation was the franchise's first great test. While the movies with the cast of the original series were popular in cinemas, the idea of creating a sequel to the show with all new characters was a bold one that could have fallen flat on its face. Thankfully, Gene Roddenberry chose an excellent cast and an amazing group of writers to carry on his legacy. Because of the success of TNG, Star Trek lives on. End transmission. Interesting fact about Gene Roddenberry and The Next Generation. Gene Roddenberry never quite entirely liked Patrick Stewart as Picard. I would say more, but this video would be way longer if I did, but Patrick Stewart just released a story on it not that long ago, so I would highly, highly recommend reading his take on the matter. So, next in chronology of releases of Trek, we have the USS Defiant NX 74205. The Defiant class project was begun in 2366 as a response to the increased Borg threat to the Federation. This, quote, tough little ship was Starfleet's first real attempt at a warship, with almost no scientific equipment on board. Ultimately, she did not pass her trials, and the project was put on hold until Commander Benjamin Sisko, a member of the Defiant team, asked for her to be assigned to Deep Space Nine to hold off the threat of the Dominion. From there, she served with distinction in the Dominion War and remained in service until her destruction in 2375. The USS Sao Paulo was assigned to Deep Space Nine and renamed the Defiant in her honor. Notable crew members include Benjamin Sisko, Jadzia Dax, Ezri Dax, Worf, Julian Bashir, Miles O'Brien, Kira Nerys, Nog, honoraries being Odo, Quark, and Jake Sisko. Star Trek Deep Space Nine aired from January the 3rd, 1993 to June the 2nd, 1999 with a total of 173 episodes. Star Trek DS9 is one of the most beloved series in Star Trek's history, and with good reason. Introducing some of Trek's most memorable characters and a deeper, more nuanced look at Federation society, DS9 told some unforgettable stories. The impact of its serialized style can still be felt today in modern Star Trek television. And it's true. Compared to current shows and their, quote, realisticness, DS9, for being a 90s TV show, definitely is very comparable for a 90s TV show, in my honest opinion. But again, if I went into all my opinions, we'd be here for an hour. So, let's look at the USS Voyager Ncc 74656. As you can see, I'm currently flying the warship Voyager, legendary Intrepid. So, I do like this ship. The USS Voyager holds the distinction of the starship that explored the most unknown space during the course of her voyage, although this was not her intended mission. During a mission to secure the Maquis terrorists on board the Voyager, the ship encountered a being known as the Caretaker and was thrust 70,000 light-years into the Delta Quadrant. For 7 years, under the more than capable command of Kathryn Janeway. Also, pause right there. Is it not Kathryn, K-A-T-H... I believe it's R-Y-N. I'm probably making a fool of myself spelling it out, but isn't it with a Y and not an I-N-E? I mean, am I crazy here? I'm 90% sure that's how it's spelled. Of course, it doesn't much matter because it's the same name. Just things you notice. Yeah, it is. According to Memory Alpha, it is Kathryn, Kathryn Janeway. Like I said, it doesn't much matter, but just something you notice. Anyways, under the more than capable command of Captain Kathryn Janeway, the crew searched for a way to return to the Alpha Quadrant and their loved ones, finally succeeding in 2378. The scientific and anthropological data brought back from her voyage was instrumental to the Federation's understanding of the varied species and locales of the Delta Quadrant, knowledge that is still referenced to this day. Notable crew members include Kathryn Janeway, Tuvok Chakotay, Harry Kim, Tom Paris, Seven of Nine, B'Elanna Torres, The Doctor, Neelix, and Kes. Star Trek Voyager aired from January 16, 1995 to May 23, 2001, with 168 episodes. Star Trek Voyager was the first and still only Star Trek television show to star a female Starfleet captain. During its 7-year run, it returned to the original Star Trek model of exploring a completely unknown part of space. The show is also notable for its deeper dive into one of Star Trek's iconic enemies, the Borg, providing new layers and details to that terrifying alien race. So, there's Voyager. Up next, we have the Enterprise E. I love that line. I just do. I believe it's from First Contact, with Picard referencing the Borg. Anyway, after the destruction of the Enterprise D in 2371, this Sovereign-class vessel was rechristened in her honor and launched as the Enterprise E. The crew of the previous Enterprise was transferred over mostly intact and continued to serve under the command of Jean-Luc Picard. Sleeker and arguably more powerful than her predecessor, the Enterprise E served with distinction in several major Starfleet crises. Yeah, I can't talk today. Including the Borg invasion of Earth's past, the conflict with the Sona, and the battle with the Romulan Shinzon. Notable crew members include Jean-Luc Picard, William Riker, Beverly Crusher, Worf Data, Geordi LaForge, and Deanna Troi. Star Trek First Contact, Insurrection, and Nemesis. The crew of TNG became the second Starfleet crew to receive their own series of movies, beginning with Star Trek Generations in 1994. The Enterprise E is the first ship in Trek to replace her predecessor with a completely new class. The TNG movies are a legacy of the impact Picard and his crew had on pop culture. You know, you all would probably understand this a lot better if I didn't just flub over my words. Alright. Now, here's something interesting. Up until now, we've gone in chronological order of when they were released. However, Enterprise was released before the Kelvin timeline. Again, the order doesn't really particularly matter much. It's just something you notice. Alright, so let's view the USS Enterprise 1701 of the Kelvin timeline. The ship you are viewing is a replica of a ship from an alternate timeline and universe, whichever you prefer. During the destruction of Romulus, Ambassador Spock and a Romulan terrorist known as Nero were pulled into a black hole and transferred back in time to 2233. Nero's ship, the Narada, engaged with the USS Kelvin, creating a branching timeline that resulted in many changes from the history we know. Knowledge of this universe, including this alternate version of the historic Enterprise, was gained during the Sphere Builder incident of 2410. Notable crew members include James T. Kirk, Spock, Leonard McCoy, Montgomery Scott, Hikaru Sulu, Nyota Uhura, Pavel Chekhov, and Officer 0718. Star Trek 2009, Into Darkness and Beyond. The Kelvin timeline films were an alternate retelling of the history of the classic original series. In order to retell the story with a modern sensibility, the decision was made to set the films in an alternate universe, a brilliant decision that allowed new actors, sets, and stories while still connecting to the original Star Trek continuity. The young cast took over the classic roles from the original series and played them to perfection. Alright, so we're just moving right along, about halfway done. Let's view the NX-01 Enterprise. In 2151, before the Federation had even been formed, the first Starfleet ship to bear the name Enterprise was launched. She was the first ship capable of going Warp 5, a huge leap forward technologically. This experimental new ship was meant to be on a test run until an encounter with a Klingon changed everything. Under the command of Jonathan Archer, she served with distinction until 2161, when she was retired with full honors. During her historic voyage in the stars, she was instrumental in protecting humanity from many threats, including the Xindi weapon. Notable crew members include Jonathan Archer, DePaul, Charles Tucker III, otherwise known as Trip, Malcolm Reed, Travis Mayweather, Hoshi Sato, and Phlox. Star Trek Enterprise aired from September 26, 2001 to May 13, 2005 with 97 episodes. The last show to carry the Star Trek banner for 12 years, Enterprise told the story of one of the least explored eras in Star Trek history, the time before the founding of the Federation. This low-tech, character-focused take on Star Trek boldly went into the future of television, refusing to let the torch burn out. It is remembered for its excellent take on classic Trek stories and for its depiction of events that led to the formation of the United Federation of Planets. Alright, so that's what I like to call the classic Trek section. Now, on to the new Trek section. View the USS Discovery Ncc 1031. With her exploits only recently rediscovered after years of the highest classification, the USS Discovery is an important part of Federation history that we are only just learning about. It was discovered that one of her captains, Gabriel Lorca, had been replaced by his counterpart from the Mirror Universe during the Prior's World incident. Now, this actually technically happened before he commanded Discovery, so technically Prime Universe Lorca never actually captained Discovery. After his removal from command, the Discovery was instrumental in ending the First Federation Klingon War and in stopping the threat of the rogue AI known as Control. The ship then disappeared into the far future, where all of her recorded history has been lost, or rather hasn't happened yet. Notable crew members include Gabriel Lorca, Saru, Michael Burnham, Paul Stamets, Ellen Landry, Ash Tyler, Hugh Culber, Sylvia Tilly, Ariam, Jet Reno, Philippa Georgiou, Christopher Pike, and Spock. Star Trek Discovery began airing September the 24th, 2017, with 29 episodes as of this writing, with Season 3 set to debut next month on October the 15th. Star Trek Discovery is the triumphant return of Star Trek to television after 12 long years. The first show to star a character who is not the ship's captain yet. We at this point in time, we don't know who the captain's going to be. Discovery set out to begin a bold new era in Trek storytelling with serialized continuing stories. The show tells the story of the Federation's history, including the First War with the Klingons, and is continuing on today, telling the story of the Federation in the far, far future. Also, if you're interested in Discovery Season 3, the trailer happened to drop earlier today as part of Star Trek Day, so go check that out. If it's anything like the trailer and they manage to make Discovery its own thing, highly, highly recommended. Alright, so let's view the USS Enterprise Ncc 1701 2257. This replica is an example of the design iteration on one of the most famous of starships. I am sorry, y'all. I cannot talk to save my life today. While the Enterprise's most famous appearance is seen earlier in this museum, this is an example of what the ship looked like in 2257 under the command of Christopher Pike. While James T. Kirk may cast the longest shadow in Starfleet, Pike was a kind and deeply effective captain who led the Enterprise to explore many strange new worlds. It is interesting to see the differences between this vessel and Kirk's Enterprise, and an encouragement to all Starfleet officers to always be thinking of the future and how to improve on past designs. Notable crew members include Christopher Pike, Una, aka Number 1, Spock, and Non. This is the version of the USS Enterprise that appeared in Star Trek Discovery. While she is the same ship that appeared in the original series, she's been recreated with a modern design sensibility and current graphical technology. While she has a distinct, sleek look, she still has the same profile that made us all fall in love with Kirk's Enterprise to begin with. We'll see more of this ship when the new show Star Trek Strange New Worlds premieres, which personally I am looking forward to the most. And finally, a piece of Star Trek Online history. The USS Enterprise Ncc 1701F. The flagship of Starfleet, the Enterprise F, has served during some of the most tumultuous years in Federation history. And side note, bear in mind, at this point in time, the Enterprise F is only technically 2 years old. Everything in Star Trek Online has happened from 2409 to 2411. Yeah. The Enterprise F has seen some stuff. From the war with the Klingon Empire to the catastrophic battles of the Iconian War, the conflict with the Zenkethi and the Herc, and the current troubles in the Klingon Empire, it's hard to believe this. See? It's hard to believe this ship has only been in service for 2 years. In 2409, she launched under the command of Vakil Shan and has been keeping us safe ever since. We at this museum hope that as long as there is a Federation, there will be a ship to bear the name Enterprise. Notable crew members include Vakil Shan, Samuel Winters, Jarrell Cav, Tim Enazi, Savell, Philippa Matthias, Kiona, and Kiriyoshi O'Brien, who, may I point out, is Keiko and Miles O'Brien's child. Star Trek Online launched February 2nd, 2010, with 185 episodes as of this writing. We hope you've enjoyed visiting the Star Trek Museum and for helping us celebrate more than 50 years of the franchise. We live in one of the greatest eras of Trek, with more shows, comics, novels, and video games coming every day, and it has been an honor to keep that fire burning in Star Trek Online. Thank you for spending the time with us, and here's to many more years of the final frontier. End transmission. So, I'm gonna bebop right over here so we can talk about this out of the way if everybody else wanted to explore the museum. Note this museum is also outside of Deep Space Nine, so if you want to go there if you're a Klingon, you can. So, personally, I feel like, well, if you know the story behind it, and our community manager, Ambassador Kale, put a series of tweets out this morning talking about some of the background behind this museum, and since, honestly, they slapped together this in 2 weeks, and for 2 weeks, I applaud them. I do. That, in my opinion, for having 2 weeks, was a beautiful tribute to all the leading shows of Star Trek to this point. And I hope that Trek keeps going, and we add more ships to this collection, and maybe expand it into both a permanent addition and maybe give it its own beam down location where you can walk by and you see them all resting in a space dock. I mean, I'm sure it would take a lot of resources, but I mean, who knows? Time is not a factor here as long as Star Trek keeps going. So, thank you very much, Cryptic. This was an excellent walkthrough to me. I thoroughly enjoyed reading all the information. I even more thoroughly enjoyed listening to all of the actors in the clips. I mean, maybe that's the Trekkie in me, but that just kind of makes my day when a video game has some of your favorite TV show characters come to life. So, as for other content coming to the channel, I am working on some other videos in the background. Most likely, sometime either at the end of this week or possibly this time next week. I'm not sure. It depends on my schedule. I'm going to do a run-through, excuse me again, of the To Hell with Honor event. So keep an eye out for that, and that will probably be my next video. So, with that said, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this trip through Star Trek history. Happy Star Trek Day, everybody, and we will see you in the next video. This is Dr. Light 94 signing out.